This vlog is sponsored by mysitefinder.com. It's not really sponsored, is it? I mean, I run mysitefinder.com, but I just wanted to give it a bit of a shout out here. Nothing wrong with that, is there? My channel.
This is quality caravan vlogging.
Hi, welcome to the vlog. Today's vlog, we'll have a bit of a laugh today, I think. I don't know about you, but everything at the moment is bad news, cost of living crisis, clocks have gone back, darkness. It's just all a bit overwhelming with bad news and dreadfulness just at the moment. So we'll have a bit of a laugh, look at something, just a bit of a sideways look at something. As you'll know if you follow the channel, I'm not long back from spending a week in residence at the NEC Caravan show, where I actually managed to do some reviews, which is great, and they've gone down really well. Thanks very much if you watched them. I don't know if you know the process of a vlog, but obviously you do the filming, then you do the editing. Now I don't use everything that I film, so I spend quite a bit of time cutting out things that I don't particularly like, I didn't say well, or you know, whatever. Yeah, I really do leave all the bad stuff on the editing floor, as they say. Hard to please, isn't it? Where was I? So yeah, so whilst looking at those vlogs, I was able to watch myself do reviews, and I'm obsessed obviously with big, large, expensive caravans, but also the rear of caravans. So I thought it'd be a good idea to focus on caravan design, but just the rear. Then obviously that opens up a whole new series for me, like the front, the door, the windows. You know, I can review everything. I can look more in depth at everything. I'm really not doing a windows review, honest. But the rear of caravans is ignored, in my humble opinion. Now this has become evident since I realised I had some fetish with the rear of caravans. To be honest, it's the same with cars as well. We had a GLC that got stolen. Now we really like the back of that. Now we've got the GLE, which is in theory and on paper a nicer car, and it probably is a nice car, but the back isn't as nice. The design of the back isn't as nice. Now I've heard people say, you don't see the back of the caravan, you don't see the back of the car. Well, you know what, you absolutely do see the back of the caravan. When you come back from taking the rubbish or from the toilet block, you do see the back of the caravan. And April last year, some guy in a van got a really close look at the back of my caravan. The less said about that, the better. So reviewing, getting footage ready for this vlog, yes, I do preparation. Looking at manufacturers' websites, at caravan designs, or the caravans, you know, you want to see, there's loads of pictures of fruit in a bowl, glasses of wine, generally nice looking photos of the inside and the front and the side, but not always the back. Now shout out here to Bailey and Swift, as they actually do prominently put the back of the caravan as in one of their main pictures, so you can look at the front, sides and the back. Not all of them do, so some of them it's been tricky for me to get actual photos of that I haven't taken myself, they're from the manufacturer's website. So what is it about the back of a caravan that I find so fascinating? Well, it's not that I find the back fascinating. I always think with caravans, and as I said with cars, they seem to put loads and loads of effort into the front and the side of whatever, and then maybe they hand over the design of the back to maybe an intern or quite possibly the cleaners, and they say, oh, just finish that off for me, can you? So they just, and a big criticism for me is the rear caravan lights, the lighting cluster. I've joked many a time, like the Bailey we had. Oh yes, I joked, how we laughed, that the rear lights are basically look like they've come off a lorry or something. They put no thought into them at all. They've got the cheapest ones they can and just bolted them on, stuck them on with sticky tape and had done with. On the odd occasion they connect them up, but not always. So, doing research for this vlog, what I thought I'd do is do a caravan rear of the year competition selected by you, the viewer. So what I'll do, I'll go through looking at several caravan manufacturers and looking at the rear of their caravans. I'll tell you what I think, what I like and what I don't like, and at the end I'll ask you in the comments to say which was your favourite. Maybe just a favourite manufacturer. I mean, you can say a favourite model if you like, but that's not as important as just giving us your favourite manufacturer. Then what I'll do, in typical Caravan Vlogger style, I will write them a letter. I'll try and write to their media or marketing department, whatever, and I'll inform them they were the winner of the 2022 Caravan Vlogger Rear of the Year as selected by Caravan Vlogger viewers, and I'll send them a nice certificate and of course a window sticker. And if they reply, I will share the reply with you. Who knows, it's all done in jest. They might. Initially I did think I'd do maybe like the worst Caravan Rear of the Year. However, I'm not so sure the manufacturers will take kindly to some internet burk, or a YouTube burk, sending them, you know, what do I know, a Rear of the Year, the worst Rear of the Year. But the best year is better in it. It's always better to praise them than even in a comic fashion. So without further ado, I've got my laptop here so that I can look at the Caravans. Obviously I'll edit and share. This is why you leave a gap here. In fact, I'll maybe put a larger gap for myself. Then, this is called a rule of thirds if you don't know. Who cares about this? I'm looking at the screen here. I'm not looking at the screen. So I'm over to the side and I can put the picture of the rear here. So, in no particular order, other than quite possibly alphabetically, I'll just show you some rear Caravans here. Now, excuse me for looking down here, but I'll need to look. So I'll start off with Adria. So when I was wandering around, somebody asked me for a review of the Alpina, so I did one. Very nice Caravan, and but quite unusual in many ways. So I'll start with the Alpina. Here's the Alpina rear. What do you think of this? See, I think it's quite minimalist, but also very, very modern. Those rear light cluster, very thin and not a lot else. High brake light there by the looks of it. Reflectors at the back, place for the number plate, and you know, that's pretty much it. Now this, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether to do every single Caravan or just anyway, briefly I can edit it out if I don't like it. So okay, now the Adora, see, very similar back. In fact, I would also almost say that was the same. I will put both up here so you can see the differences. So that's the Adora, the Altia. What am I like with Caravan names? I can't honestly. Again, very similar, but maybe a bit more basic. Not quite as. See, this is what I do. With the higher, you start from the entry level, the base model, then it up and up, and the higher the price goes, the kind of better looking, all that subjective, better looking light cluster and rear you get. The action. Now this is a rear only a mother could love, in my humble opinion. Now if you have one of these, good job. I hope you enjoy it, but you know, doesn't really do anything for me. I know I can see what they're doing. They try to get some styling done with it. Lights look like they're off a milk float or something, some sort of mobility scooter possibly. Right, moving swiftly on. Bailey. Right, start with the Discovery. Oh, now this looks like a IKEA cupboard to me. The rear with those handles looks like it's, and that seam right down the middle looks like it's a door. Looks like it could be a door on the left to get into the back. Rear lights again, very much like the lighting that we had on the Unicorn 4. Moving swiftly on from that to the let's go to the Phoenix Plus. Phoenix Plus. Again, this is actually like the Unicorn 4. These light clusters I'm not a big fan of. Grab rails, no rear backlight at the top. No rear backlight at the top. It's interesting. The graphics are okay, and place for your number plate. And I mean, there's not a lot to be said. That's function over anything else, isn't it? Which, that's Phoenix Plus. Onto the Pegasus Grande I've chosen. Very similar, right? Again, no rear light at the top. Quite bland, nothing spectacular about that, in my opinion. Although maybe slightly different to the previous. Now onto the Alicanto Grande. Alicanto Grande. The big Alicanto. yeah, I mean that's a, you know, it's a step up in price, and also a bit better with the lighting cluster, a bit more like a car rather than a lorry. Again, not a lot really there. Blank grab handles, number plate. That looks okay. I think that's probably one of the best Bailey ones. There's no top backlights, the brake light on any of the Baileys. Interesting. I thought you had to have them. Anyway, Buccaneer. Now, Buccaneer. I've looked at these already, obviously, in my preparation. So I'll put them all up there in the corner there. The Buccaneer, the Barracuda, the Bermuda, Commodore, and Cruiser. You know, to me, they're basically the same back, aren't they? Quite, you know, big, you know. Well, I don't know what to say about them really, but I do like the light clusters there. They're a bit more modern, aren't they? A bit more, look like they could be off a higher class car, possibly, although a big car. Space for number plate there and reflectors at the back. Coachman, now this is where it gets interesting with Coachman, because they do, their Caravans are a bit different at the back. So here's the, I mean, you know, personally, that looks quite basic to me. That's the Arcadia. Another one from the Arcadia, just looking from the other side. Again, to me, that looks like it could be 15 years old design. Not a lot modern about that, really. Then there's the Laser, which I think the Laser, look, the rear lights look a bit better. I'm not keen on the separate lights. I prefer it all in one big light cluster personally. And then finally the Lusso, which should look a bit better. I'm not sure it does, but it has a rear brake light at least. Very similar to the different from the Arcadia, and very similar to the Laser. Don't you think? Like it could be basically the same body shell. It probably is. Compass, the Caravans I can't pronounce. The Capiro, I'm at it already. Capiro, Casita and Camino. But doesn't he play for Liverpool? Bobby Camino. Sorry, that was a really bad football joke. Camino. So I'll put all three up here. And do you know what? Are they exactly the same? I don't mind it actually. I mean, the light cluster again to the side. I quite like that, the vertical rather than horizontal. But yeah, nice. Some kind of, I think it looks like a brake light at the top there. But again, same with the Commodore, the Commodore. Same with the Buccaneer. You know, Compass have pretty much used the same design, although not the same back panel. You can see there's slight kind of changes in the moulding, but the lights look the same. Okay, moving quickly on. Eldest. So I've got Affinity, Avante, and Crusader here. Affinity, Avante, and Crusader. Again, these are the same cluster lights as on the previous Compass. On the Compass, aren't they? In fact, very similar back panels. I might try and put them all up here if I can squeeze them in. But there's really no. I mean, there is some difference, obviously, in the Eldest sticker that they put on the back. Right, Swift. This is a big. Unfortunately, this is quite a big. Well, not unfortunately, but it is quite a big grouping of. So I'll try and go from kind of entry level to top of the range, right? So look at the Sprite. Again, I think personally, Swift do one of the best rears personally. So there you go. There's the Sprite. Now, if we're going up the Sprite Compact, so I probably should have showed those first. You know, the back's pretty much the same as the Sprite, but obviously everything's slightly smaller. Then moving up one, it goes to Challenger. Again, looking at a light cluster, I mean, what I do like is that they put the bike racks on, and Swift don't do that throughout their range. So you've got the bike racks, you've got the top rear brake light, and yeah, nice LED light clusters, reflectors, and a space for the number plate as always, grab handles. And then the Conqueror, reintroduced recently. Now I like the back of the Conqueror because the top is more rounded, and brake light there. These side panels are better. I like the black bit there, and again, using different light clusters for the more expensive Caravans, which I think it differentiates between ranges, which is good when you're trying to figure out value for money. Last but not least, the elegance. Now the elegance is certainly taking its design marks from a Conqueror there, and I think they probably look pretty much the same. So that's pretty much all of them really quickly. I didn't want to spend too much time showing you them because you could rewind and pause and whatever. Ow! Rewind and pause and do whatever you want to do to make your mind up. So which is your favourite? Comments below please. I'll work out who's got the most votes. If you don't agree with my vote, I will just ignore your vote and send off. No, I'm joking. What I should do is like with Strictly and X Factor and everything else, have bottom two, and then I pick whichever one is best, and then obviously I just pick my favourite one. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just leave it up to the public. You vote. Again, comments below. Which is your favourite? Probably favourite manufacturer rather than individual caravan. Although you could say individual caravan if you want. And that's pretty much it from me. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
This is quality caravan vlogging.
You know when you have an idea, on paper it's good, but then when you actually come to do it, it's not very good, but you just soldier on anyway. This is me doing that. So I actually thought that vlog would be a bit funnier than it turned out to be. Apologies for that. I mean, I thought it was a great idea to review. Rear of the Year was quite funny, and then I thought there'd be quite a lot of difference between one rear and another, but it turns out there's not really, and there's only a certain amount you can do. Basically it's a big white space with a light cluster and a number plate. Apologies, I've wasted however many minutes of your time, but if you wouldn't mind voting, I think it would be quite funny to send the manufacturer a sticker and a certificate.